Our first guest tonight says President Trump should not fire Jeff Sessions, but the Clinton ties to Russia should be investigated. Here now to talk about what all is happening in Washington, D.C., the circuitous road that this legislation on health care in some form or the other has taken. Joining us tonight, the former Speaker of the House, 2012 presidential candidate, Newt Gingrich, also author of Understanding Trump, now on the New York Times bestseller list, but it's only been there for the past 5 weeks. We'll congratulate you anyway. Good to have you with us, Newt. And congratulations.
Thank you. Good to be with you.
Let's start with the greatest imponderable here, and that is the president going after Jeff Sessions, some of his own staff, and Anthony Scaramucci among them, saying, I've advised the president not to fire Robert Mueller. But, I mean, we're getting some of the doggonest leaks out of the White House. The president talking today about intelligence agency leaks. We're getting some public statements now that are, well, irritating and unusual.
Yeah, look, I think this is a very unusual administration. You have a businessman who never participated in elective office before. He's assembled a team that has still, I think, in some ways getting to know each other. I think bringing in Scaramucci is a good step because I think they're a good fit psychologically. And I think actually you'll see Trump gradually become a little less aggressive because Scaramucci will be so aggressive that he'll take up some of the burden that the president has felt he had to take.
Already threatening to fire everyone in the communications department, dude. That's a pretty interesting
I know.
step.
Well, it's a, you know, this is much more of a non-diplomatic, non-political operation, and it has some of the edges of a very tough entrepreneurial system.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, you know, you talk about an entrepreneurial
for the next 8 years.
You talk about it in a business context, and this is a president not familiar with politics. I have to be honest, I have a different perspective I'd like to hear from you on, and that is that this president was elected to be the disruptor that he's been. He is making extraordinary moves. We've got consumer confidence in this country at a 16-year high as of today. We have a market that's added, as he's pointed out himself, $4 trillion since he was elected. We have a different psyche. Tom Tradup at Salem Broadcasting sending me a picture of a hotel that he was staying in which there's a giant American flag draped. We're looking at change occurring before our eyes. It's being boiled down by the national left-wing media, it seems to me, as a contest between the media themselves and this president. But it's truly, as you well know, this is a president taking on the system and so far beating all of the averages and the odds.
Well, and you saw that today. I think it's pretty clear that when the House failed to pass the health bill, Trump stepped in, and a couple weeks later they got to a formula that passed. When the Senate failed to pass going to the first vote on the health bill, Trump stepped in. I think today he personally probably delivered 4 senators who were going to be no at breakfast and ended up voting yes. So part of this is you have a very entrepreneurial, aggressive personality with enormous levels of energy who's also a very good salesman. You look at that 40,000 people last night in West Virginia. Look at the crowd he's going to have tonight in Youngstown. This is a president who is, I think, if you're not a hardline left-winger, this is a president who's intriguing and who is attracting a lot of attention from everyday Americans. And you're seeing that happen in terms of the economy. And if they could get a really good tax cut this fall, I think you could have a boom next year that would actually guarantee Republican re-election in 2018.
There is a view that the Trump trade is over, that the people who were counting on a tax reform bill becoming law I've basically taken a look at the rather stolid leadership of both the Senate and the House and have said, you know, we don't think we're going to keep that trade and have unwound it. What they're betting on right now is Donald Trump. And they have been rewarded to this point handsomely, whether in the markets and the turn in the economy, the creation of jobs.
Well, and look at the increase in federal revenue because of the market and because you add 800,000 more jobs to the economy. In addition, I'll go out on a limb. I think we'll have a very substantial tax cut signed into law by Thanksgiving. I think that's how fast it's going to occur.